The Holy Gospel according to Mark, the 12th chapter. As Jesus taught, he said, "Beware of scribes who like to walk around in long robes, and to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and to have the best seats in the synagogue and place of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses, and for the sake of appearances say long prayers. They will receive the greatest condemnation." Jesus sat down opposite the treasury and watched the crowd putting money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty has put in everything she had, all she had to live on." The Gospel of the Lord. Roberta lived by herself in one of the high-rise apartments in Leisure World, and whenever I would visit, the apartment was always warm. Roberta was one of those cheerful, in a gruff, warm New Yorker kind of way souls we had at St. John's. And upon her death, much to the delight and surprise of many of us, Roberta left St. John a financial gift in a will. It was the first one St. John's received during my time as pastor here. Roberta wasn't known as having the largest amount of financial assets. Her gift upon her death is a witness about what it means to give out of everything you have, compared to a life where everything is being taken away. It is fascinating for me to consider and share with you that the overwhelming number of gifts St. John has received once people have died come from women who are widows. In the Gospel, Jesus remarks on the religious leader whose practices lead to the devouring of widows' houses, implying taking advantage, if not downright exploiting people who are vulnerable in society. The house of God is not a place to devour widows. It's not a place where anyone should be devoured. One day I was in the office at St. John's when I received a call. A widow in the congregation was distraught. Her home had suffered unexpected and severe damage in one of these torrential storms that come through our area. The widow was at loss at how to proceed. More than physical dwelling places, our homes often have an emotional connection to the people who live there. While I could not take away all the stress and grief associated with damage to a home, within 24 hours of the call, I was able to deliver a check from the congregation to cover the amount of the deductible for the homeowner's policy to assist in getting repairs moving forward. The widow was overwhelmed to receive, having been a person who sought her whole life to give as much as they could muster. It seems obvious in retrospect, but it was the women in the congregation who are widows themselves, when they heard of the situation, looked me right in the eyes as they pulled out their checkbook and said, "How much is needed?" I've learned a lot from the generosity of widows and single women here at St. John's. Over the course of time, during this transition we've experienced of the COVID pandemic, the congregation has received 3 gifts from widows upon their death. Fran was the foremost among the charter members of the congregation. Ask any of her peers, and her gift was less a surprise than a continuation of a life of faithfulness and service to St. John's. Betty never shed all of her gruff New York personality. It's hard for some to believe that when she showed up at St. John's, someone had to tell Betty what to do. But Betty's growth and generosity really started growing when her husband George died. Both of them were on the same pay scale for the government. Upon his death, the household income in half, Betty maintained the amount of giving that she and George were doing together. She told me at one time it was scary to give so much, but after a little while, and a couple months had passed, she realized it wasn't so bad, and she had more than she needed. The largest gift that anyone's given in the time of St. John's that I've been here, both in percentage and total amount, came from a woman who was part of the congregation for less than 3 years until her death. Linda was looking for community and found it here. When her health allowed, she preferred to arrive early, sit in the back row of chairs and listen to music and pray before worship. Linda gifted St. John's 30% of all her assets upon her death. It's more than one could imagine asking for. Each of these faithful women an example that giving is a way to live and giving is a way to die. This season, we ask one another as we ask ourselves, what will we give to support the ministries here at St. John's in the year ahead? If we come consumed by honor, power, social media, beauty, money, buildings, or property, they'll eat us alive, and they will all leave us empty. More than one congregation I know of has slowly been eaten up by its property, the walls and the roof taking more time, energy, and money to maintain, until the building itself has consumed everything people had to give, that nothing is left. I count myself fortunate to be the pastor at St. John's, because the property has not consumed us. Oh, there are moments I've wondered if the property is trying to sneak in like a thief in the night, but we would not be swayed. The 3 acres here on Aspen Hill Road, purchased in the 1950s, continue to serve as a hub and gathering place for our ministries. It supports our worship, both our physical and digital campus. It supports Nurture Our Neighbor. It provides a home for the preschool and for a wide range of community groups, including AA and NA. The property is, all at once, part of our past, part of our present, and part of our future. At St. John's, we believe that death and resurrection is more than a theological promise. It's the roadmap for our ministry. From the gifts of the saints who've gone before us, St. John's is going to seed new ministries, and you get to be part of it. Because when people leave us a gift when they die, is with a sure and certain hope the congregation will do something to make a difference. These extraordinary gifts have allowed St. John's to launch both our digital campus and Nurture Our Neighbor. But we aren't going to stop there. St. John's has set aside more than $30,000 in the New Connection Fund to be used in 2022, 23, and 24 to start, try, and explore new ministry together with friends and neighbors you know from different households. I'm excited to see what the Spirit is calling us forward to do together. It's a terrific time to be church and to dream together. At the same time, I'm clear-eyed that the cost of our ministry is increasing on an annual basis. Many of the same factors leading to a nearly 6% rise in Social Security benefits next year increase the cost of our congregational life: heating, cooling, ventilation. The way that we avoid becoming consumed by our property is by growing in our giving. Growing means more resources can be devoted to items other than simply maintaining the property in our life together. St. John's is seeking to grow our annual budget by 6% in 2022 in recognition of the rising costs we face and the new ministries we are doing together. And we need your gift of support to make it happen. Taking a step forward and growing in your own giving makes a big difference. I've yet to find a single household at St. John that will be able to provide all the money we need. But together, we who live and worship and carry out ministry together, old and new, can make a difference. After all, it is the women at the tomb on the Easter morning who spread the good news that Jesus is not dead and he is arisen. Thank goodness for the faithful women who remind us, even in their death, that the church is alive and the future is out in front of us. May the widows who have gone before us and who remain with us continue to inspire us as we consider what we will give for the sake of the gospel in the year ahead. Amen.